Hey friends, so welcome to another analysis video for Wimbledon 2025. Now, I couldn't make the preview video between, Djokovic and Sinner, but to be honest, I knew that the match is going to be very difficult for Djokovic to win. I see a lot of commentators and other people were saying that maybe Djokovic would be able to win this match, and they were, picking Djokovic as the favorite. But to be honest, I think most of the people and the analysts knew that it's going to be difficult for Djokovic. If you just neutrally, compare the stats and the previous performances. So if you see Djokovic, who hasn't won a Grand Slam in more than a year now, he hasn't won too many titles as well, and he has been injured so frequently. That is for Djokovic. And whereas if you compare with Sinner, who has been winning almost every tournament that he's playing, he's world number one, he's consistent, he's also giving great fight to Alcaraz and just, losing by minimal margins. So if you compare those two players, obviously there is no question Sinner is going to be absolute favorite in every match that he plays against Djokovic. Plus the age difference and fitness, we are not even going there. Just the past performances and the form speaks for itself. So I knew that Sinner is going to win. Although I was surprised that Djokovic did not put up the fight that we expected him to do, because honestly, in the last match at the French Open, even though Djokovic lost in straight sets against Sinner, I felt that that was a very competitive match and Djokovic played well. Sinner was just too good on that in that match. Whereas in this match, the performance was Sinner was good, no doubt. He was playing well, he was moving well, he was hitting well, but he did have some lapse of concentration in the third set, and I felt from the get go. I mean, after the first game was good by Djokovic. He started off the match well, and obviously he was serving well throughout the match, no doubt about it. But once the match started, the way things proceeded, it clearly looked that Djokovic is not going to win this match. He was out of sorts. He was struggling physically, and also he was missing a lot of easy shots by his standards. And even after missing those shots, if you see the body language that Djokovic portrayed, that was really telling. And I think that was not that he would want to do in future matches, because it clearly showed that he was shocked that he was missing these many shots of the forehand wing, of the backhand wing. He was not trusting his movement as well. He was not going to chase a lot of shots, and just going for broke and then staying on one side of the court many times, not even going for the last one, right? So it clearly showed that, and he was smiling sometimes after losing the point. Maybe he just couldn't believe that he can win against Sinner, and each and every shot was sort of a way to trying to convince himself that this is what is happening and I cannot do anything about it. But to be honest, he was not that far behind. Obviously he had fitness issues and other things not going well for him, but when he did manage to just string few points together, he broke Sinner, right? And he was leading the third set. So I feel like a lot of things went hand in hand for Djokovic to lose this match. But even if he was completely fit and playing well, I think the result would have been the same, at least in terms of the overall victory or loss. Even though the scoreline would have been a bit closer, the match would have been competitive. But I think this was not the performance that Djokovic would want to remember. So, talking about the stats, uh, again, as I already mentioned, that we should consider the fact that Djokovic had some physical issues and he was not going a lot for his shots. Now, some of the things are in gestures as well, right? So if you talk about the background, now, what was the last match that Djokovic played? It was against Koboli, right? And even in that match, I thought that Koboli had a very good chance of winning that. He was playing well, he was playing aggressive. Djokovic didn't have any answer to his shots. So Djokovic had to raise his level. He had to come up with the goods under pressure, and he did that. So it clearly shows that. he was feeling better that day physically, and whatever was the reason, he was performing really well. And that really gave me some perspective that, okay, he is able to bring his A game when he needs to. So maybe he has a good shot, in the future rounds. But the problem is, I think he had some physical issues, and towards the end of the match, on the match point, he did fell. No one knew what happened because the match was over after 1 point, and then obviously the adrenaline, and there are some customs or processes that you have to follow. You have to talk to the press, you have to give the interview, and obviously you don't come to know immediately what has happened. But the fact that we do know is that he did cancel his practice session the next day. And the match with Sinner, the match how it started, when he walked onto the court, we could clearly see that he was like very serious, not smiling, not giving too much of an emotion out. But uh, that was something that was telling. Now, when we compare the stats, as you can see, the serve is the only thing which I feel Djokovic was doing well, and he did well throughout the three sets, even though he lost his serve a lot of times, but his serve was really working. Credit to Sinner to return those shots pretty well. Some shots were deep. Once Sinner was able to return the serve of Djokovic, the point was over because he couldn't rally with Sinner. He could not go for his shots, specifically on the run, whether it was on the forehand side or on the backhand side. Now, if you remember how Djokovic used to play, right? If you remember his shot on the backhand, on the run, sliding the shot where he was actually given a point penalty for the loud grunt, disrupting the other player. And ironically, it was against Sinner at Wimbledon. So those were some of the shots that we were used to see Djokovic hit. But this time around, he tried it once or twice, and after that, no, he did not even go for that shot on the backhand. Similarly, on the forehand, 1 or 2 times he really hit a great forehand on the run. He hit it for a winner, just like he hit against Alcaraz at the Olympics. But after that, he was not even going for those shots. So I think he was not able to change direction on his forehand, as the commentators also pointed out, and it was clearly visible. So he was trying to play one side, or he was hitting good backhands, but on the forehand side, maybe with his right leg, he was struggling a little bit and he was not going for his shots. So a lot of these winners, as you can see on the screen, 36 winners for Sinner and 17 unforced errors, huge difference. But many of those winners came because Djokovic did not even go for the shot, did not even go for the return, right? So just one point to highlight. On the other hand, if you look at Djokovic's numbers, those are not too bad either, right? So 27 winners and 28 unforced errors, not too bad. It was not like he was hitting too many unforced errors, but obviously at the big moments he was, at important moments he was. So as you can see, he did not have many break points. It's two of them, out of which one he converted, and Sinner had like many break points. So from Sinner's perspective, he played a perfect match. He was serving well. He was not giving much chances to Djokovic. He was being aggressive, taking time away from Djokovic, hitting good backhands, forehands, good movement on the net. Also, he was hitting good volleys, capturing the drop shot. So everything was just perfect from Sinner. And unfortunately for Novak, because of whatever issues he was facing, that played its own part. And Sinner just didn't have anything to lose at that time, because from the beginning, from the first set, just like the match that played against Alcaraz last year at Wimbledon, right? So everyone knew that the match is going to be one sided. And that gave so much confidence to Sinner, at the same time to Alcaraz, that they were going for their shots without worrying anything, because they knew that the opponent has probably already lost the match. And this is where I feel Djokovic let himself down, probably because he was not showing that fighting spirit. Even though he did complete the match, he played till the end. He did not retire. He was obviously struggling, but just the gestures that he made, right, like smiling and not even going for the shots and not trying different things out, it showed that he probably didn't believe that he could win that match. And that, for me, gives a lot of confidence to the opponent, that that your opponent has already given up, and then they can play freely, they can go for their own shots and even miss a few shots here and there. But credit to Sinner for playing such a way in such a way that he did not give many chances to Djokovic. At the same time, in the third set, when Djokovic did get a lead, Sinner would have been really, worried about it. But I think he came back well. He regrouped himself in the upcoming games, and then again it was back to the basics, back to the same level. So good match from Sinner, and I think we'll discuss about the Sinner versus Alcaraz match later. But in terms of the key factors, I feel there were four. One was Djokovic's fitness, obviously, very big factor, because I don't know how people like commentators and other people, maybe because they are trying to compliment Djokovic, they keep on saying that Djokovic is still moving as good as he has always been, or saying that he's still moving pretty well. I mean, it's true to some extent, he's still moving well than most of the other players on tour. But if you compare him with his own self, few years ago, right, few years back, there's a huge difference. He's not going for his shots, not sliding that much, and even if he is able to chase a few balls, he's not able to do much with it. So he's giving a weak reply, and the passing shots he's not able to hit those many passing shots that he used to. So obviously he has slowed down, and he's not his usual self. His consistency has gone down. He's making far more unforced error nowadays. He's also not able to rally for too long, because either he makes an error or he, starts facing some physical issues. He has breathing issues as well. If he goes for a 30-shot rally, so definitely his fitness has taken a hit, not just in this match but overall. And we have seen the proof of that in the last 1.5 years, where he has retired a few times or barely completed the matches and looked in trouble, right? And he did have a surgery as well last year. So definitely he has struggled, and it comes with age. So it's natural in a way. It's not something that has happened only to him. It has happened to all the big players. But that's definitely a big factor. The belief, and these two are connected, right? So if he's not fit enough, if he has lost to Sinner so many times in the last year or two, he knows that it's very difficult for him to get a victory over Sinner. And because that has not happened for last 4 or 5 times, it makes it even more difficult, because some of those times Djokovic was actually fully fit and he was playing well. Still, he was not able to beat Sinner. So those things are also in his mind. So it's a shift. I think the same, if I want to give you an analogy, I think same thing happened with Federer and Nadal as well. So Nadal has had Federer's number for many years, and come any Grand Slam match between Federer and Nadal, you knew that Nadal is eventually going to win the match. He has that thing, right? But the problem is, with once Federer got into a habit to win against Nadal, he changed everything in 2017. That Australian Open match was the turning point. After that, it made a huge difference for both Federer and Nadal. Now, Federer knew that I have been able to beat this guy. So he got the belief, he got that confidence back, that, okay, maybe I lost for years and years, but now finally I have done that. So I have proof for my own self that I am capable of beating Nadal at the biggest stage. And things just turned around after that. He beat Nadal, I think, back to back in Miami, also in Indian Wells, also, and then at Wimbledon as well after a couple of years. So I feel that that match changed everything for Federer, and it had an opposite effect on Nadal, because then Nadal's aura of invincibility against Federer also was removed. Now Nadal thought, okay, I have been winning these matches over the years, but finally I lost one. So in the next match that they played, Nadal would have thought, okay, now I'm not confident enough, because till now I knew that whatever happens, I have not been losing to this guy for many years, but now I have lost one, so maybe I can lose again. So I have to be pretty careful, or perform something extra, do something extra. So the same thing I feel happened between Sinner and Djokovic as well, because Djokovic was winning against Sinner even when Djokovic was completely fit and he was winning against Sinner like 3 years back. He was still 35, 34 years old. Again, still a very big achievement to win against Sinner with that age, but he was in good form and the matches were close. I think he came 2 sets to love from 2 sets to love down at Wimbledon 3 years back, and even last year or last to last year he beat Sinner in straight sets at Wimbledon. So he was playing well, but none of those matches were one-sided. The matches were pretty close, so he knew what he needs to do. But then he also had that confidence that I know it is going to be a close match, but I back myself to win because I have done this many times and I'm playing equally well. And because Djokovic and Sinner's game matches so well, right? They play very similar style of tennis. It's similar to Djokovic and Murray. So Djokovic and Murray, whenever they played, right, Djokovic always had the number. He always won 90% of the times because both the players had very similar styles. But Djokovic knew in the back of his mind that if this is how the match is going to be played, I have more chances to win because I'm like his game is just better. Similar thing was with him against Sinner even at 35 years of age. But when that Davis Cup loss happened, where he had already won the World Tour Finals, like in 2023, and then Davis Cup came and he had those 3 match points against Sinner. And those 3 match points, when they went away, and Sinner was able to win that match, and not only that match, after that match again, I think the next day they lost in doubles, and then Italy was able to win the Davis Cup. So I think that would have crushed Djokovic emotionally and frustrated him a lot. And post that, I think he hasn't been able to beat Sinner. So it was a shift, just like Federer and Nadal. It was a shift. It was a big victory, a very close match that went into Sinner's favor. And then post that match, Djokovic would have thought that, okay, I know how to beat this guy. I was winning against him all the time, and now it was a close match, and he has taken the match away from me. So when the next time I play him, I am not so confident that I would be able to win. And then it's a snowball effect. So he kept losing to Sinner time and time again, and now the situation is worse because now, first of all, he has been losing to Sinner, and second of all, his fitness is deteriorating. His form is not that good anymore. So now there are so many factors pointing into one direction. So that's the thing. So Djokovic's belief is obviously a key factor. Sinner's supreme form. So Sinner is at his peak, in his prime. He's improving day by day. He's good on all surfaces, and his game is so quick. He doesn't give a lot of chance to the opponent to play their own game. And we have seen that with Roger Federer, but obviously Djokovic in his prime was able to counter that. He was able to play well against the quick servers or the quick players as well because of his defensive capabilities and able to change direction on the ball. Now, those things are not working completely for him because of obvious reasons, and it makes it even more difficult. But for Sinner, I think he has no weakness in his game. He's improving day by day. He's fully fit. So I feel, and he's so consistent. So he is very rarely gonna have bad days at the office, so to speak. And because he's playing so aggressive, like he just doesn't give chances to other players to play their own game or even to defend. So unless someone is as capable as like Djokovic to defend and fit and young, which I don't think there's anyone except Alcaraz. That's why you see the results, right? So Sinner is not even giving games, let alone matches to other players except Alcaraz. Now, talking about the significance of this match, that is huge. Can Djokovic bounce back? This is the biggest question. I think the answer is yes, but he needs to make 2 big changes. Number one, he needs to manage his fitness better. So we have seen, and this is natural for any player, we saw that so much with Rafael Nadal, because he was always playing all the tournaments, going for each and every point, even at the latter stages of his career. But at one point, he had that realization that that is not working. So then he started picking and choosing his tournaments and going for broke, especially at the U.S. Open. but he was also able to win the tournament. So that is something that Djokovic also needs to do. He needs to be more aggressive, change his tactics a little bit, go for broke early, and that can only be done if he's fit. If he's not fit, if he's struggling, he's gonna miss a lot of those shots, create unforced errors. So the first and foremost thing is he needs to be fit. And how is that to be done? He needs to at least play few small tournaments to keep his confidence going, and maybe just go for broke. Just try to inculcate the tactic in his game, not just it's not gonna magically appear in a grand slam that suddenly he plays aggressive and everything clicks. It's not gonna happen. So he has to try to practice those things in maybe some smaller tournaments against other players where he goes extra aggressive and doesn't run for too many shots, just like he did against Sinner. Even though he did it because he was injured, but maybe he should do it normally as well on non-important points, just to save some energy for the upcoming matches, and in earlier rounds not expend as much energy. I think the serve is a key for him. It's working well, so he should continue to go for big second serves. Try to improve his volley, because again that is dependent on the fitness. If he's able to bend his legs and get into a good position, I think he's a good volleyer. But in this tournament specifically, he was not able to do that. I saw he was not able to bend his legs on a lot of volleys, and he was like too frustrated also. Now, can he beat Sinner? He has to, because if he has to win a Grand Slam, he has to beat Sinner or Alcaraz or both. He can beat Sinner, but as I mentioned, he needs to improve his fitness and change the tactics against Sinner. Now, as I mentioned earlier, Sinner and Djokovic's game is quite similar. And because Djokovic is at 38 years of age, he is having physical issues, he is having belief issues. With similar styles, if you have those three problems, obviously Sinner is going to be the favorite each and every time. So something has to change. Now, either Sinner needs to have a really bad day at the office, or Djokovic needs to mix things up, just like Alcaraz. Use a lot of slice. For that, he needs to be fit enough to keep the rally engaged. Then go for a winner, try to hit some angles, try to use the drop shots, keep the serve well. All of these things can help break the rhythm of Sinner, but it will only work if Djokovic is fit. Because then, if he's not, then these shots will spray, right? He'll be sprayed across the court, and he'll make more errors, which will again decrease the confidence. Now, for Sinner, this match has a huge significance. I really thought that the French Open final last month, the loss would have taken a toll on Sinner, and maybe he would lose his form temporarily. But that didn't happen. He is playing as well as he did at the French Open, maybe even better. This surface, I feel, suits Sinner because he plays quick tennis, and this surface does reward those sort of players. He's serving well, and it's his first final, so I feel it's a very good chance for Sinner to win this tournament. We'll analyze or preview the match later, but I think it's a very good chance for Sinner. So I hope you liked this analysis, and thanks for watching.